Fall is such a beautiful time to incorporate nature into your home decor. Hey friends, it's Donna. I'm happy to have you here today. I picked up this cloche from Dollar Tree last year. I think they still have them. Let me know down below if you know if they do or not. I removed the label and the tape that was holding it together. And I'm also going to be removing that little knob that's on the base on the underside. I'm going to just cut away at it using some wire cutters, and I wanted it to be pretty much flush to the underside. This was getting in the way of me attaching a battery pack to the underside. I want to utilize that hole and string these fairy lights that I got again from Dollar Tree through that hole so I can use them inside this cloche, but have that battery pack all nice and concealed so you don't even see it. So I'm going to just string those lights through. This is a 12 strand, and this one is the copper color as well. I know they come in silver wire as well. So to attach the battery pack, you can use Velcro, or I will just use some hot glue and attach it. You just want to make sure that you can access the battery pack so you can change out those batteries, and you also want to place it so you can access the switch. I'm just gluing down the wire, the excess wire. I'm using some hot glue, putting that into place, and then just holding there until that glue sets. I've done this before and it actually works quite well. So I had made a mistake. I should have left the lights out first before I spray painted my base. But I used the tape and covered up my wire, as you can see me doing here. I'm just removing it now that it's all spray painted. I used a hammered metal color. It's kind of like brushed bronze. You could just leave it black if you'd want, or paint it another color, but I really like this brushed bronze look. Now I'm going to start to decorate the piece. I'm using this beautiful green Spanish moss that I found at my local dollar store. And I'm going to cover the base just on the inside up to the rim. The top of the cloche does fit on the inside edge of that rim. So you're going to want to just kind of test it out and play around with it and trim it up as needed. Here I've got some embellishments, a little ceramic owl that's vintage, and this mushroom cap that I'm replacing the base. This had just kind of busted off, so I just needed to replace the base. And the pumpkin is from another project, and I just needed to fix it up using some paint. I'm hot gluing this branch into place to replace the stem of my mushroom, and I just added some extra because it was a little bit small. Here I am just using some, I believe it's burnt orange or burnt sienna. I can't remember the exact name of this paint, but it matched up pretty close to the paint finish that was on this pumpkin. I just didn't want that stark white to be showing through, so that's why I decided to cover that up. You're not really going to see it though when you're finished your project. Now I'm adding a branch. I wanted to create like a little tree, and then adding the mushroom as well. And I'm just going to hot glue it. If you wanted, you could use some floral foam on the base, but I decided just to go without. So I'm using a generous amount of hot glue and then holding everything into place until the glue sets. Now I've had a few people ask if I do any Halloween decorations. I actually don't, but you could definitely change something like this up and change it out for Halloween. You could use purple or orange lights and just add some other little elements if you want to recreate this. I just wanted to create a cute little fall nature scene inside this cloche, and I love to add these little fairy lights to projects like this as well. I'm just testing to make sure everything is fitting inside and trimming up the branch as needed. You can see that I had also added that cute little pumpkin as well. That was just a pumpkin from the dollar store that I had painted. All right, so everything fits nicely under the cloche. So I turned my lights on. This is something I like to do once I start to weave the fairy lights in around. I just kept it very, very loose. I wasn't going for anything too perfect here. I just wanted it to look like fireflies fluttering around. I did end up hot gluing one of the lights to the top inside of the cloche closure. That way here they would suspend inside, as you will see here in a moment. And again, like I said, it'll just look like little fireflies buzzing about inside. It's really, really pretty. So I felt like it still needed just a little bit more. So I had these orange pip berries in my stash from a couple of years ago. I'm going to add that to create some height, but also just to help to balance out the color a little bit more. I just felt like it needed just a little bit more orange inside. So I decided to go ahead and add these berries using hot glue just here and there, and decorate this any way you like. It's a great way to use up little scraps. So I'm going to put this back together, and then it's ready to be put on to display. It's a really fun and whimsical piece to have for your fall decor. I recently found this beautiful urn vase from the thrift store for $3.99. I'm just removing the label. I really like the color for fall, and I thought this would make a great base for a topiary. So I've got this scrap piece of floral foam. It's dry floral foam. I like to trim it off on an angle to fit inside a container like this. I'm trimming it down so then it will sit flush within this vase. So I actually will keep those scraps, and I use them to fill in a base of any project that I may be doing that needs that. I used hot glue and put that into place. Now I got these beautiful golden yellow wild looking roses in my stash, and I can't remember which store I got them from, whether it be Michael's or if it was Dollar Tree. I honestly can't remember. I want to say Michael's. But I trimmed them off of the bush, and now I'm also going to just move up all the leaves and flowers until they are sitting closer to the top. Now I'm going to gather all the stems, and I'm making a little posy with these, gathering them all up at the top, and that is going to be the top of our topiary. It's a very, very simple and easy way to create a topiary. I'm using some jute twine just to help me hold this bundle into place, just wrapping it around a few times and tying it off in a basic knot. Now, again, like I said before, you could make something like this and add a little bit of Halloween whimsy if that is something that you like to decorate for. Here I'm trimming down the wires. They were a little bit too long, some of them. I have this birch bark tube that I had foraged from the forest. I will have some foraging videos listed down in the video description box, but I also have a playlist on my channel page that you can check out as well. So I am just going to clean out the center of this birch bark tube, and then I'm going to put those stems into place, but they kept on kind of getting out of control on me. So I decided to add some floral tape, and I'm just wrapping the base. This is brown, but you could use green if that's all you can get, because you're not even going to see this. Now I'm able to place those stems in through the tube, and it worked really well. So I thought this would be a really cool way to create our topiary base. Now I've decided that I wanted to add a bow. Now this is optional. I kind of actually wish I would have left this part out now, but you'll see what it looks like here. I'm just creating a simple loopy bow with some simple trim and some string that match the colors that I've got going on here. I did several loops, and then I wanted several tails to hang down, and then I'm just using some florist wire just to gather it in the center of my bow, trimming it off, and then I'll be using some hot glue to adhere it to the base of my flowers and leaves. So you can see too, I use some Spanish moss to cover up the foam as well, and I just used some hot glue to attach that. So for this project, you're going to need a branch. Now this particular branch I forged did have some little bugs in it, but I leave mine outside and they vacate. You can place these in the oven and it'll kill them off as well. You'll just have to watch to make sure that your branches don't burn, and you need to do it on a very low heat. So I am going to be creating a little bundle of branches, and so I'm just trimming some down to size, and then I'm going to just kind of see how they all look together. I'm creating a base for a wall hanging. I'm going to start to glue my branches together, and I just glue them at the touch points. And then just for some added security, I will be grouping them or binding them together using some jute twine. And I'll show you that here in a moment. So I'm just going to continue to layer the branches together until I really get a look that I'm happy with. So here you go. Now I'm going to wrap these with my jute twine. So I'm just going to create a really simple and basic knot. And then I'm going to take my twine and wrap it around several times on one end, and I'll do the same on the other side as well. Again, I'll just tie that off with a simple basic knot. Really like to use natural elements in my crafts. I just think it just adds just another level to your projects and makes things feel more realistic. I added a touch of hot glue to the knot just to make sure that it didn't come undone. So I did do the same thing over on the other side. Now I'm creating my hanger. I like to add my hanger now because sometimes I start to glue other things into place and then I have a difficult time getting my hangers on. So just a little tip for you there. So you just want to just simply tie it on each end before you tie them on tight, because you want to make sure it's going to hang properly. Here it does. I will end up having to make some adjustments once I add all my little decorative elements on, but I'll show you what I do here in a little while. So I'm going to tie those knots, and again I glued them so that they didn't come apart. Now to add my embellishments. I recently made these sweater pumpkins. The tutorial will be linked down in the description box for you of this video, or you can find it in my fall playlist on my channel page. I'm just deciding on which ones I want to use. I decided to go with these with the pattern tops. Now, I had figured out where I wanted to place them and I glued them down. And then once I started to kind of play around here, I realized how floppy these were when I had them in place. So to combat that, I ended up using a bamboo skewer that I just got from my kitchen cupboard. I'm going to just stick that up through the center of the stem of the mushroom, right up into the head of the mushroom that I had created. And I'm going to just snip that off. And you can see I left enough of a tail so I can glue that to my branches, and that will really help to stabilize it and keep it in place. I did that for both of the mushrooms. Now I'm adding my Spanish moss, and I'm going to start to hide those little stems, and it'll also create a lot of interest to this wall hanging to make it look more like the forest floor. So I'm just going to add some little bits here and there, and I'm making sure I'm covering up the ends of those bamboo skewers. You could go ahead and use some sheet moss or some preserved reindeer moss, but I just love the color of this Spanish moss. I thought it was suitable for the fall season. I'm adding some pine cones and some little bits of birch bark that I had forged, and I'm just going to use some hot glue and put those into place. You could add some berries, some leaves, some flowers. You could even add some little critters or some fairies and gnomes. That would be a really cute touch. But I wanted to try to really keep this one really natural looking. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue to add my embellishments here using some hot glue. This could be another one that you could add some little Halloween decorative elements as well, just by changing out a few things or adding a few different things. I don't know. I just love the really natural, organic look of this piece. I think it's such a fun piece to make. So I have everything glued into place. Now I'm just testing out how it's hanging, and you can see it's flopping forward. All you need to do is just adjust the knots a little bit on your branches by turning them forwards or backwards. Now you can see how it hangs. Once you have the placements of the knots, you'll want to make sure you glue them into place so that they don't rotate anymore, and it'll continue to hang exactly the way you need it, and it's ready to be put on display. I have more fun and unique fall decor for you to check out here to the right. I want to thank you so much for joining me today, and let me know what your favorite thing was by leaving me a comment below. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.